Hey there, welcome in. It's Heather with Heather's Healing, and I'm coming on here to do just a quick video about intuition and how you can develop your intuition and connect to your intuition. I get asked this question a lot, so I thought I would do a quick video. I was just going to type it all out, but I just thought, no, it'll be easier just to do a video. So here we go. The interesting thing with developing your intuition is there is not a one size fits all step-by-step plan. It's very unique to each person. It's unique to you. It's unique to your journey. So, got to start right there and just say that there is no quick way to do it. There just isn't. But here's what I've learned, and I'm just going to share with you from my perspective what I've learned about developing intuition, and hopefully it will help you and will bring some clarity to you regarding your intuition. So first off, we all have the ability to intuition. We all have that ability. We are always connected to our guides. We are always connected to source. We're never disconnected. So I just wanted to say that just right out the gate. The other thing, I didn't write any bullet points down, and maybe I should have because I just lost my train of thought. um, oh, yes. It's about creating a relationship. So we're already connected. You can't lose that connection. How deep you develop your intuitive gifts is up to you. We all have the ability to do it. It isn't a one-way street when you're working with your guides and angels. It's a two-way street, and it's a relationship that you create. So in relationships build over time. They become stronger over time. You learn how to trust that other person that you're in a relationship with over time. So it's something that takes commitment, takes some discipline, practice, and the desire to have a relationship with your guides. And like I said, that takes time. So just want to put that out there. Something that I notice with a lot of people that I've done sessions with and that have been working on their intuition, it's something that they practice maybe for a little while, then they give up, and then there's no consistency there. So being consistent is really important. And again, you're creating a relationship. So think about, what do you do if you want to create a strong relationship? It isn't something that you do just when it's convenient for you, right? You need to commit to that relationship and commit to creating that bond. So having said that, I definitely think that that's a really important piece to developing your intuitive gifts. And I was thinking about it, what was like the one thing that made the biggest difference for me? And that is clarifying your mind. So I think if I could give one tip to anyone, clarify your mind. And what do I mean when I say clarify your mind? Understand what you're thinking, understand what your thoughts are. For instance, what are you thinking right now? How do you feel about the thoughts that you're thinking? What feelings are coming up? Can you sense if there is conditioning or beliefs around those thoughts and feelings? It's really getting tuned into, what are you thinking? Being very aware of your thoughts. And why I think this helped me so much is that it really helped me to, one, notice where my work is. And when I say being disciplined, I'm talking about when you clarify your thoughts, it's going to take you places and show you parts of you that you probably don't want to see. But that's part of the work. That's part of the work in developing your intuition. I mean, that is a part of it. and clarifying your mind, clarifying your thoughts. It's going to show, your mind's going to show you things that maybe you don't want to see about yourself, or maybe things that you weren't aware about of yourself. So, being just open to that. Um, but I think why this helped me so much was it helped me understand what thoughts were my thoughts, what thoughts are thoughts that are coming from like conditioning and beliefs that may or may not be true or accurate. But it also helped me to understand the thoughts and like voice of my soul, the thoughts and voice of my guides, um, the thoughts and sound of or voice of God. It's very different, and it's such subtle energy that it's really easy to maybe lump it all together and think that it's all you. It's very subtle energy. So I feel like the more you can clarify your thoughts and get to know and understand what is driving you, what's behind your thoughts, what are you thinking, just becoming very present and very aware of your thoughts and your belief systems, that's going to help a lot. And I think another reason why this helps so much in developing your intuitions is we all have conditioning. We've all been conditioned. We all have belief systems. And a lot of that conditioning and a lot of those belief systems are huge blocks to developing or expanding or deepening our intuition. So this helps you be more open-minded, and it also helps you look at the things that might be blocking you from connecting with your intuition. There could be a lot of fearful thoughts there, or a lot of fearful beliefs and conditioning around connecting with your intuition. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that might think that if you're talking to spirits, or you're talking to your guides and angels, that automatically you're talking to dark energies. And you will learn the difference. And that's why I think this is so important about clarifying your mind and clarifying your thoughts. Because it isn't just thoughts, it is feelings too. And the more you're able to clarify these thoughts, and the more you're able to be aware of them and understand them, it's so much easier to understand yourself better, but also understand what is divine and what isn't, what is higher frequency and what isn't. And also depending on your gifts. So I think my two strongest gifts are clairaudient and clairvoyant, meaning I can see images, pictures, scenes, and sometimes those come in whether I want them to or not. Sometimes they, anyway. I was just getting a clairvoyant picture, and it can be a little distracting sometimes. But the other gift I have is clairaudient, which is hearing, and it's very subtle. And what I can say about that is it did take me a while. There were some lower frequency beings that were communicating with me, and had been for most of my life. And because I didn't know what that was, I took those voices on as my own. I thought that was my own internal dialogue. And as I got clarifying my mind, I started realizing, wait a sec, those voices are not me. They have nothing to do with me. And I was able to eventually shut them down and push them out. But oftentimes we just think everything that we're thinking and feeling and hearing and sensing, that it's all, us. And sometimes it isn't. So clarifying your mind is really important. Clarifying your thoughts. Honestly, I feel like that is the biggest thing that has helped me with developing my intuition, and it's an ongoing thing. It's never ending. And the more you're working on yourself, the more you're working on your well-being, and following your soul's desire. It's really important. The stronger your intuition will be. Um, and the more you'll learn to trust it. That's the other thing. We're all receiving messages all the time. Oftentimes we just don't trust it because it's going against a thought or a belief or conditioning that we are constantly playing in our mind, or that's constantly playing in the background of our mind. So it's really important to learn what those are, and then start following some of the guidance you get. Start leaning in and trusting some of that. So clarifying the mind, I think that's the biggest way to open up your intuitive centers, and to also really learn a lot about yourself as well. Now, I'm going to mention something that really helped me a lot, and it's called A Course in Miracles. It's a book that looks like this. The Course in Miracles helped me a lot, and I will say this book has been on my radar since, like, I don't know, I think late teens. I had a lot of resistance to this book, mostly because it brings up the word Jesus, and there was a time in my life where you mentioned Jesus, and I probably would like want to punch you in the face. I hated that word. I hated that energy. I wanted nothing to do with it. So I resisted this book. So again, had I worked on clarifying my mind a long time ago, it would have helped me release a lot of those blocks and resistances that I had, maybe, to this book. And maybe it could have helped bring in a lot more joy and happiness into my life a lot sooner. But I recommend this book because it works on breaking down the conditioning and your belief systems. Because oftentimes our beliefs are conditioning. It's not, it's conditioning. So it really helps you open up your mind and really take a look at the programming going on in the background that's constantly going, and we all have it. It's part of being a human. The other thing that I started noticing when I started clarifying my mind is it made it really easy for me to hear what is, the voice of my ego and what is the voice of my soul, basically my divine self. So now when I didn't start practicing A Course in Miracles until I was in my 40s. Like I said, I resisted it for a good part of my life, a good chunk of my life. I resisted this book. So I had already been developing my intuition. I had already been doing a lot of work on myself and, all of that. But what I noticed with this book was within just a few months of doing it, the frequency of these lessons, it expanded me so much. I mean, I can't even really put into words how much this has helped me with my intuition. And that's not why I started practicing A Course in Miracles. So I'm not saying that if you get this book that you're going to develop your intuition. Like I said, it's a unique journey, and your journey is very unique to you, but it will benefit your life. Absolutely. So if you're called to that, I don't get anything for mentioning this book to you. It just has helped me so much that, and especially with my intuition, I was actually really shocked by how much it helped open up my intuitive centers even more than what they were already opened. So I highly recommend A Course in Miracles. It really helps you break down your thoughts and clarify your mind, which brings you a lot of peace. Even if you don't choose to work on your intuitive skills, none of that, it doesn't matter. It will bring you so much peace of mind. It slows down the chatter in your brain. It shuts off, I call it static. It just helps you shut that off and have a lot of peace. So I recommend it for that. So if you do decide to get the book, A Course in Miracles, I actually downloaded a PDF of it that was free. That's what I used for quite a few years. But if you get the book, go just right to the middle where it says lesson one and just do lesson one. You're meant to do one, there's 365 lessons. You're meant to do one lesson a day for a year. However, I've been doing it for like a few years now, and I think I'm only, I don't know, I'm like in the 250 range or something. So, do it. I do it for a while, and then I just need a break from it. Then I'll do it some more. It's one lesson a day. You read the text, and each lesson has a meditation or a practice that you do. So, you read the text, you do the practice. That's it. It's very simple, yet it's not. um, it's amazing. I will just say it's amazing. You do one lesson a day and that's it. At some point, I've never read this. I don't know if I ever will. I just do the lessons. So that's totally up to you. I think that I would start with the lessons if I were you. I would just start with the lessons. I've kind of skimmed through some of the book, and I know there's a lot of really helpful information in here, but I think it could be very overwhelming and maybe put you off. So if you're interested, do that. I think that would help. Clarifying the mind makes a huge difference. All right, that's it. We'll see you later.